Hi, I'm Bill Wilt of Assured Research. Thanks so much for joining this quick hit video where we're going to focus on one research note drawn from our May 2025 Assured briefing. This is focused on personal umbrella insurance, a market which isn't very big. It's about $6.6 billion of written premium in 2024. But if you have a personal umbrella policy, you probably agree that it's an important peace of mind from a personal financial perspective. Problem is that the underwriting results in the personal umbrella market have been really poor the last couple of years. And in fact, in this note, we said that the personal umbrella policy was appropriately shortened as PU, which we use throughout the note. That's a little bit juvenile, admittedly, but I think when you look at the results, you'll agree that it's fitting. So let me share my screen, and we will keep this to being a quick hit video. And while I do this, I'll just say thank you if you're a subscriber. And if you're not a subscriber, please keep in mind that we would be happy to start you on a trial to our work. So here's a high overview of the personal umbrella market. As I said, 6.6 billion in written premiums in 2024. The top 10 account for 2/3 of the market, so it's fairly concentrated with a lot of the major personal lines players that you see there. Look at the right-hand side, though. Somewhere starting in 2022, you really started to see the average rate increases rise, and increases of 20 to 30% today are very common. Why? Well, here's one reason. The combined ratio, here is the reason, I should say. The combined ratio in 2024, for those writers where we're able to really isolate their personal umbrella results, roughly 200% calendar year 2024 combined ratio, up from about 160% in 2023. You look on the right-hand side, these companies have these writers, which I should say, many will know that there's a new liability supplement that allows you to look at the other liability occurrence line and really isolate or look at the sublines within that. So what we've done here is to get carriers where personal umbrella premiums represent, it says there at the bottom, I think 85% or more of their other liability occurrence line of business. Having identified those companies, of which there were 32 that write about a third, 2.2 billion of the personal umbrella premiums, having identified those companies, we can then go look at their insurance expense exhibit and understand the financial results from other liability occurrence, which in turn is almost exclusively personal umbrella, just so you know. So 200% combined ratio in the year 2024, up from 160. The adverse development on this subset of those companies was $1.2 billion, about 55 loss ratio points. Lot of difficulties going on in this market. I'll note that the vast majority of claims are believed to come from the auto line of insurance. So it's clearly developments in auto insurance, perhaps changes in litigation behaviors, the ability of attorneys to identify and be particularly aggressive in cases where the defendant has or is believed to have a personal umbrella policy. Speculating a bit there, but that would seem to make sense. And I'll just share a couple of other metrics. In the year to date, today through mid-April 2025, something like 15% of personal umbrella filings, rate filings, were requesting increases of 80% or more. So, I've heard over the decades, especially coming out of the soft cycle, I've heard industry pundits, underwriters kind of rhetorically, ask or question this a particular product and say that the question isn't whether rate increases on a particular product should be 20 or 30%, but rather whether the price should be doubled. And I think that applies to personal umbrella where we are today. What we're seeing is clearly a kind of a whole scale rewriting, re-rating of of the cost of personal umbrella. So my personal suggestion, if you've listened to all this and invested in the personal umbrella product, if you have one, keep it. If you have a risky driver in your household, assuming it's not not your spouse, which I wouldn't suggest throwing your spouse off the policy, but if it's another member of the family, an adult child perhaps, maybe move them off the policy, because again, I think those who have a personal umbrella policy, they're going to pay more going forward. But I think it's in your vested interest in keeping it. So hope you enjoyed that. There's more in this specific note in our work. Generally, we'll keep on the personal umbrella topic and watch how it unfolds in the quarters and years ahead. Thanks for your interest, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.